Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And yes, it's a TV box with a USB stick in it, run from my mouse and keyboard, and it's running the old Android operating system, but looking very much like a desktop computer, doesn't it? So that was my goal with this project, was to turn this into an offline desktop, because let's face it, these systems are way too old to be on the net. But these things stream video really well. You can definitely play video files from them. I'm sure you could probably even set up a browser, but I don't feel confident enough in these things. I feel like they're malware boxes, really, as soon as you hook them up to the internet. And I'm not interested in that. So I want to just use them like this with a USB stick, the old sneaker net, as they used to call it. Yeah, so let's see where I've gotten with this. As you can see, I've got the Android background floating around. I got, you know, some widgets and stuff like that, some basics. It's got a file explorer that's pretty good. It's rooted, so I can go right into the root of the system, and it'll actually, given time, takes a minute for it to fill up, but yeah, we won't do that right now. But I can go into the root of the system, and I can basically go in and do whatever I need to do with it. So, like I said, I'm not going to get into it though right now, because there's not much functionality in that right now in my demo. And it takes a minute for the thing to read all the files. But here you go. So this is my USB stick right here I'm looking at. And yeah, let's get into it. So this little box, let's use the image viewer. This little box we're looking at is quite decent. Oops, let's just switch around. There we go. There's the back end of it. So, you know, it has a few different options for you. It has an on and off switch, which is kind of nice. Most of them don't. It has a reset button in the corner, that little hole, to reset with your using a paper clip. The side has some air vents, SD card, a couple more USBs, so 3 USB total with a like micro USB option. This is what it looks like when you take it apart. This is the box. All right, sorry, got a little bit of a delay there. Yeah, so what are we doing here? Yeah, so we're basically looking at the physical aspects of the box. And this image viewer works quite well. You can bounce back and forth pretty easily. Let's talk about CPU-Z. So there is CPU-Z installed, but I can just show you the summaries. So this gives you a nice breakdown of the aspects of your system. This particular one has 2 gigabytes of memory. The internal storage is not 2 gigabytes. It's actually 16, but not exactly sure why that's showing up like that. But it does have 16 gigabytes and it isn't that full, so not sure if it's just a quirk of the system. But here's the rock chip it's using, and it's using an octo-core. That's 8 cores, and it's using a 28 nanometer process so therefore it won't be extremely hot, but it won't be very cool either. They gear it down to 1.5 gigahertz, which is pretty good, and I'm sure for just streaming video, which is what it's designed to do, you can basically get good activity out of it. The governor is what it uses to regulate its cores. So in this case, it uses all 8 cores, but it sort of manages them in such a way that it ramps them up as needed for the activity it's doing. And it's running Android 5.1.1, so very old. It's not lying, because the API level for 5 is 22. So sometimes these Chinese manufacturers mess with things, but this is sort of like your check and balance on that point. And it gives you all kinds of information about Java machine. The actual processor is 64-bit, but the actual version of Android is not. So it gives you the basics of that. Let's go in here. Here's the octo core. Let's use this, I guess. Here we go. Yeah, so this is the octo core they use. So there's big cluster, little cluster, and what that sort of does is it works at 2 different levels, so that to conserve energy and heat, it uses sort of different levels of processing power. And here's all the details about that particular that particular processor and its breakdown. It's pretty ideal for, obviously, phones, but also, in this particular case, for streaming video. So let's get into the storage. So the RAM storage, we have, like I said, it actually reads as 2.42. I'm not sure why, but maybe it's sharing part of the NAND storage. I'm not sure, but it's got 2, as far as I understand, it has 2 gigabytes of storage. Maybe it's counting video RAM or something. Anyway, not sure. And then it's got NAND flash RAM for its regular hard drive, you could say. And it's got 16 gigabytes. So I'm not sure why it's reading as 2 or 3 or something like that in the other system. But it certainly has lots of space available. Does it actually mention how much? I don't think it does in this particular shot here. No. No. Available. Here we are. 10. So that's the real goods on that. Now, one of the things I did when I was fooling around with this thing is I wanted to set up certain apps about this device. Let's take a look at that. I wanted to set up certain things. So here's your details about it, just from the Android system. Kernel information, build, etc. Yeah, one of the things, and here are some of the apps I have on here, but I think I've changed it up a bit. No, these are all right. Yeah, so CPU Z, this is a specialized file explorer that allows me to go into root. We have an OS monitor to monitor your system. Shutdown, just because it's not, most of these TV boxes are never meant to be shut down, so you add this just to make it easy. Termux, which is very cool. That's the highlight to me of this whole system. And of course, WPS Office, which acts as your office suite. So yeah, this is sort of the basics of this system, and I'm running it all from, actually running it from, let's do text editor. And I'm running it actually from the actual OS. So here's the information about the box. Here's all the chip information. Go ahead and pause at any point to read anything about that. This is the array of apps that I've put on this thing. It comes with Smart Launcher, which is really nice as an alternative to the TV interface, and some stuff that I did on it, just running Termux. So one of the things about Termux is that it's a terminal program. And I'll just show you it here. There we go. So Termux is this terminal program, and it almost is like a kind of like a hybrid between Android and Linux. And it's too hard to explain all the details about it, but what you find out about it is it has all kinds of potential to be a very comprehensive terminal device. And you can, this is all the details about the actual system and of course Termux. One of the things you want to be able to do is, for most of these kinds of devices, you want to be able to run Python. So, of course, how do you do that if you're not online? Well, it's actually pretty easy. Let's go 4 times 4. Let's do 4 plus 4. Let's do exit. And there we go. And let's exit out. So, oh, actually what we want to do is, what do we want to do? Python. Python. It's pretty good considering I'm doing it all one-handed. Hopefully I wrote, spelled everything. Yep. Python 3.8. So yeah, there you go, guys. So that's all installable offline, but you do have to include all the dependencies and everything to get it to work. So let's get out of the terminal and we'll bounce back to not terminal. There we go. There we go. All right, back here. Yeah, what am I doing here? Blah, blah, blah. Oh yeah, so I opened up that. Oh yes, last point I was going to make here about if you ever want to install the terminal on the system, this is what you need. These are the dependencies and all the files you need, including the individual file names, numbers, everything else. You can pause. They're all Debian based, and you can basically install these Debian based ARM files to right onto your Termux, and it installs Python and its dependencies that it needs to run. And so if you're looking for these are on the Internet Archive, so you can hunt them down. And yeah, in fact, there's like this huge file. If you just go on, if you have like a Android 5 or 6 device and you want to set this kind of stuff up, just go ask an AI about the what you need for Termux to set up Python on it, and it'll direct you to a file on the Internet Archive that's like 7 gigs of all these old files that'll basically run on this system. And then you have basically the keys to the kingdom. You can set up Python, C, C++, Java, tons of different types of development environments, all the kind of the really well-known editors. It's pretty incredible, really, what you can do with this thing. So yeah, that's sort of going to be, I guess, the whole point of, or the whole bottom line of this whole thing, is just how incredible this system really is, running basically a phone operating system, but working like a desktop. So that's going to be it for my video. Talk to you later and see you in the next one.